Hello, guys, and welcome back. You are watching the Camera64 podcast, and I am your host, Alfonso Chavez. And as always, I'm coming to you here from sunny San Antonio, Texas, from here in my garage. And today is Monday, August the 10th. And we have just come off of two back-to-back quinceañeras. I'm working pictures for my second quinceañera today or this morning. I'm going to start with that. That's not what I'm going to do for the entire day, but that's where I'm going to start. The reason being is that I ended the day yesterday working on some videos, not only my YouTube video from yesterday, but also a video from the first quinceañera. Now, the first quinceañera, I have been through their pictures. I have delivered those. And so I'm currently, I would estimate about halfway through that video edit. And this next one is Imani, and this is a good friend of mine also. And I'm currently about halfway through her pictures right now. So pictures I generally like to deliver back within a week or so, or two. I like to tell people 2 weeks. I like to deliver in 1 week. But sometimes I do take the 2 weeks. But today, guys, I just wanted you to tag along with me so that way you can get an idea of how I set this up, how my lighting is. Because everything all the work that you do before the actual edit is very important to how quickly you can get things done. And this is not only sits true for the photography side, but as well as the video side, right? As close to perfect as you can get in camera is always ideal. And what do I mean by close to perfect? I'm talking about, number one, exposure. Number two, your color balance. If you can get your color balance as accurate as possible. And also your framing, so where you're not cropping anything, because those three things can really slow you down. At one end of the spectrum, as well as on the other end, if those three things are all correct, then it can really speed up your workflow. So if you can manage to get more of these things correct, then I say go for it. This is why oftentimes you'll hear photographers say, well, I don't have to shoot in manual, I can shoot in automatic. Yeah, you can shoot in automatic, and I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But if I know exactly what the color balance should be, I'm gonna dial it in. Same thing for shutter speed and any other settings that I can dial in ahead of time, just so that way it's a consistency across the whole day, because chances are your color balance is going to be the same for the majority of the time, especially after dark, right? Once the light outside goes down, and you're shooting by speed light or by flash, then you know that you're going to be between 45 and 55 Kelvin. So why not set it halfway there, right? Why not set your camera to, Kelvin of 5,000. You're sitting right in the middle. You're not too blue. You're not too orangey. And it's a good starting point for your edits, right? And not only that, but your movement of your Kelvin, your color balance is going to be minimal, right? It's going to be as minimal as possible. Versus when you have it in automatic, if the camera senses some warmth, obviously it's going to counter that with some blue. And if it senses a whole lot of blue for whatever reason, sometimes the lighting is different in different areas of the hall. So your color is going to lean towards more of the orange kind of look to it, right? The amber look. So to counter that, to get rid of that, because it's a hassle, right? If you have one blue one and then you got one that's super on the blue side, and then you have the next one super on the orange side and super on the blue and super on the orange, you get the idea. You see how inconsistent that can be, and that again lays havoc on the editing when you're out here in the editing. But so I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys scroll along. There's nothing fancy here. I'm not really trying to show you technique. I just want you to see how I do this, and also notice that I do spend a lot of time trying to get this right in camera. Okay, and so I get to enjoy the benefits of that right after the fact. So that's mainly what my concern is here. And I'm just going to basically talk you through what I'm doing here. So I always like to note what picture I'm at here in Lightroom. So this is, I'm at 351, which is about half. Well, no, I take it back. A little bit less than halfway, but let's go ahead and get into this. And you'll see me do a lot of copy and paste. I do that often. That's a normal part of the flow here. And this is a picture of my beautiful wife and kids here. And you can see that my grandson he's a little flustered right now. And the great thing about when you're doing it like this is that you get a consistency, and that's really important here. So like here, I can just copy these settings, and then as I'm working down the line here, you can see that it becomes super fast. Once I have that scene set up, then I can just skip to the next and skip to the next. It's a little bit of a green tone here. So I guess color to me is the most important thing, more than anything. Exposure and then color. I don't know if you can see it here on this or not, but there is a green tint to that. And I fixed that, I corrected. Amani is a very nice young lady. Her parents are amazing. I really can appreciate their parenting skills, because it's hard, I think, more now than ever to raise young ladies in this world, because there's just so much bad stuff, too much. There's too many things that are working against you, and it's hard to keep girls on the right track. And in case you're wondering, yes, I always add vibrance, a lot of vibrance in my pictures. I like to keep my saturation around 5, and I always like to have my highlight indicator or clipping turned on, so I can immediately see by this red marks right in here off the chrome that I do got a little bit of, and I pull that back just enough. If the picture starts to get a little bit dark, then I'll just go ahead and leave it. It is chrome, so it is going to stay a little bright, you know. It's blown out there, to say the least. So I always like to look at the actual picture here, but I'm also looking at my histogram up here. But a majority of my edits I just do visually. So in case you're wondering, this is a BenQ. BenQ has some very good monitors for editing. They're color correct. So I know that what I'm seeing here on my screen is pretty accurate as far as color goes. And I would consider myself to be a pretty fast editor. There's no really particular way to do this. The way I tackle edits here in Lightroom is I edit pictures if I see a good picture. So like this is the same picture, basically just zoomed in. Oops. Control Z to go back. And I just want to copy these settings so that I can paste it into the next picture. There's 2 reasons why I do that. It just increases the consistency of the pictures, right? Because sometimes you'll edit one picture and then the other. So I'm going to stop here, because can you see the green tint? I'm just curious. Can you see it on your screen? If you are seeing it, let me know. But I immediately see that there's a green tint to this. I correct that. I'm going to bring down my highlights. So it's not that big of a deal, but you can see right here, her highlights are almost to the point of being overblown, and they're not completely overblown, because they would be marked in red, and you can kind of see a red spot there and a red spot there. But essentially, that's all I need to do is just pull this back, and now you can actually see the lights within the stand. And then I'm just going to go ahead and straighten this up a little bit more right there. And you can see the perspective is off on this. So her name is straight. So whenever I get into this situation, what I like to do is I will go ahead and go into the perspective tool or the transform, and you can hit just the auto, boom, and it does a good job of fixing that. There we go. Great job. So this right here, my friends, is the perfect example of why shooting. We got some highlights up here, but I'm not really worried about the highlights up here, but rather down here. So I want you to look at this picture. Now, I know it's a little out of focus here because the focus is not on these posters up front. I should have done that, but they're not. The focus is back here at the back. But I want you to look at this picture right here. Okay, this is shot on this same camera. You can see right here, this is the EOS 1D Mark IV. Now, I did shoot her pre-session as well as the actual pictures of the day. Okay, this picture right here is of a small portion of a much larger picture. She took a small portion and blew it up here. Okay, and this looked beautiful. I mean, it looked beautiful even at 16 megapixels. So I don't want to hear no baloney or no crap from other photographers telling me that, hey, you need 32 megapixels, you need 50 megapixels like on the R5 Mark II. No, you don't. Okay, this is 16 megapixels, and everybody really commented on this multiple times over the night, saying how beautiful this picture was, as well as this picture right here. This is her 16 by 20 frame, 16 by 20, which we also delivered to them, and you can see it is beautiful. Same thing here. This is a small portion. You can see her dress is cut off. This is not something I would do. That just tells you right there that this is a small portion of a much larger picture. And if you were to come in here and look at this up close on the day of, it looks beautiful. She looks beautiful in there. Still got that green tint outside. I think it just has to do with all the grass that's outside. So back to what I was saying about the order. Now this is laid out, Lightroom is laid out in a way where if you start at the top and work your way down, it actually works out to be pretty good. But you don't necessarily have to work that way. So the way I like to work things is that as I see things that need correcting, I'll go ahead and correct it. Whatever grabs my attention first, and usually it's exposure. That's usually the first thing that I look at, followed by highlights. Those are the two things. So when you're looking at these pictures, guys, first thing I want you to notice about this camera, the photos, in fact, are sharp, but they're soft at the same time. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know technically what the right terms would be. They're sharp, yet they are yet they're soft, and the ladies really like that. Okay. Ladies really love the fact that their skin looks nice and soft, almost like there's a filter on, but there's not. You can see what I mean here. You see what I mean? There is grain in this picture, obviously, but it's still sharp. Okay, but it still looks soft, and I love that. That's one of the things I really like about some of these older cameras. So all these pictures right here, these are just on camera flash. Oh, I take that back. I do have one other flash going off here. And this was actually a 2-light setup. I have a Flashpoint 360, which is an AD Godox AD 360, which they no longer make. I'm really disappointed about that because I really love the 360, and it's small but yet very powerful. And I got that going off, and the only reason you can tell is because of this shadow right here. But you can tell there's no other shadow on anybody else, and there wouldn't be if it wasn't for that extra flash. That's why when I saw that shadow, I knew that the flash is coming from way over here. That just reminded me that, hey, yeah, there is a 360 going on. So whenever you're out in green, in a green, lots of green, like here, you're always gonna have to bring down that green just a little bit. Pull it over to the red side just a little bit. And brighten this up, and then we got that one. Oops, I'm sorry. We're gonna brighten this up, overall image up, and then we're just gonna bring the highlights down. And this is the brother. Great kid. These are all great kids, by the way. Some of these kids were on my bus. I used to drive for the school district where I live, and a lot of these kids actually rode my bus. So I kind of knew some of them personally, which is always nice. I like these high fashion. This is something that I would normally do and set up if it was a portrait session, is I'd have them walking. So whenever you see somebody walking towards where you're at, it's always a good idea to get walking pictures of them. It's very, very, what's the word? What am I looking for? Very high fashion. Look, he's got a suit on. He's walking. Look at that. It looks very natural. Oops. Yeah, this is a very nice picture right here. I like these. And she's gonna hit her piñata, which is awesome. So here we have to adjust. We still have a little bit. So there's two ways you could do this. I could just bring the highlights down a little bit more. But the fact is that back here we still have a really high contrasting. This is not something that this is something I would normally stay away from. I would not take a shot like this. But unfortunately, this is how it was, and there's nothing I could do about it. And that's the difference between a portrait, a setup portrait or slow portrait session versus something where we're kind of on our toes, right? That's why shooting weddings and quinceañeras, if you can shoot a wedding and a quinceañera and get some decent pictures, you're doing a good job, because it's a lot harder than what it seems like. So we're going to just recover some of these shadow areas, and that seems to be pretty nice. I like that. And again, look at this. Is there noise on her? Absolutely. There's absolutely noise on her. I'm at 6,400 here at 200th of a second at 6,400. Now there is noise, but again, look at this. It's nice and soft. It's noisy, but it's soft, yet it's sharp. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. But I promise you, if I were to print this in a 16x20, it would look amazing. It would look great. You would love it. She would love it. And again, this is how I speed stuff up. So I've already made this correction. Now you can see the sequence of pictures behind are all shot under the same light. So now I could do this, hit shift to the last one, right click, hit develop settings and paste settings. That's going to correct all of these. And that one is slightly out of focus. But again, it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to know that this was out of focus printed at 16x20. It's going to look good. Oh man, funny story, right? She's a great little girl, but they told her, the first thing they told her, this piñata is not great. It's a symbolic, right? Because in the Hispanic culture, we break piñatas for birthday parties. So this is her 15th birthday party, so we're breaking a piñata, but this one's more symbolic, right? The goal is not to break the piñata. Um, so they told her she only had one opportunity to hit it. And so our excitement, being Hispanics, we got excited. I only get one chance, so I better make this good chance. And she literally hit it so hard that she knocked it off. She knocked the piñata off of the rope, and they had to retie it again. We laughed about this for a good while. But there she is knocking it off. Okay, so now here we're at the reverse. So now she's backlit with some bright light. So we're gonna paste the same uh, settings that we did for the other one, and it actually worked out to be okay. And one of the things about DSLRs is if you're shooting subjects that are very heavily backlit, the camera does have an issue, a little bit of an issue with focusing, and I miss focus here, which is okay because everybody behind her is in focus, right? So I can, as a photographer, this is where I get to be creative and say, you know what? My focus was not on her. My focus was on the crowd itself, even though that may not be true, but that is what it is. There she is. She's in focus there. Yeah, there she is. Nice. And we're going to try it on one more, and that looks really good. So this is her cousin. This is her younger cousin. So now that we know this is working, I have a series, all this right here, all the same. So we can go from here, shift, we're going to right click, we're going to hit our develop, we're going to paste our settings. Okay. And then we're just going to go through here and make any corrections to anything that's out of the ordinary or that needs to be correcting. This one, my angle's off a little bit for whatever reason. I got drunk. No, I wasn't drinking. I just, for whatever reason, had my angle turned a little bit. But these are looking great. So this one needs to be exposure needs to be brought up a little bit. So make sure that right here on the sync, when you have multiple pictures selected like this, you want to make sure that your sync is off, unless you're going to make that correction to all these pictures, which I'm not. So I'm going to make sure sync is off, and then I can just correct that one picture. Same thing here. And it has a lot to do, the change in exposure has a lot to do with the colors that they have on. So that young man had a black shirt, right? So the camera will look at what you're focusing on, and it'll make a correction based on that. So that's why we had a darker image there. Here's my wife. She's bringing up right here. She's bringing up my grandbaby right there. But he's never hit. That was going to be his first time hitting a piñata, and he didn't want no part of it. And in case you're wondering on these, yeah, this is the only time where we definitely are going to put a direct flash pointing instead of having the flash up like this, which is what I always tell people to do when you're inside of a venue. Absolutely, that's what you want to do. But for these, we have it pointed down directly at them. This is the only time when you would do that. It's the only exception. Oops. Okay. Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. Okay. So we're done with that section. See how easy that was? I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the video right there. only because I don't want the video to be too long. I'm at 25 minutes right now, but I think I edited approximately, let's find out exactly how many pictures I edited in that 25 minutes. So in 25 minutes, I did 35. Now, normally I would go even faster than what you saw me do. The only reason it took that long is because I'm stopping and explaining what I'm doing. But you can see this is a pretty fast process, guys. You can edit up. I would normally edit around 200 to 250 pictures in 30 minutes, and I can do about 500 in about an hour's time. The more you do it, the quicker you're going to get, obviously, but I just wanted to show you that I do not spend a whole lot of time, as you can tell on each picture. It's pretty quick, maybe a minute or two per picture, sometimes even a whole lot less, as you can see. When I have a series of pictures, and you can tell just really quick here, once I'm in the haul, it's even faster because there's no I'm not going to say there's no variations, but there are much fewer variations as the night progresses, because once the sunlight goes away, then it makes the images even more consistent. So it gets faster and faster and faster to do. But that's been my show for today, guys. If you like watching me edit these pictures like this, let me know, because right now I'm really short on comments. So let me know, hey Al, I really did like watching you edit some, or hey, I didn't really like your edit, or hey, I like your new haircut, your new hairstyle is amazing. How can I get my hair to look like that? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, please give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Give us a thumbs down. And as always, if you're giving us a thumbs down, let me know why, so I can try and correct it. But that's been my show for today. And I've been your host, Alfonso Chavez. And as always, we're coming to you right here from my garage at my workstation here in San Antonio, Texas. But till next time, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Keep shooting, keep editing, and keep getting better, my friends. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.